Okay, this meeting is being recorded. I'm going to keep my finger away from the stop button. And
Okay.
this will be published online somewhere.
All right, we call order the Lebanon Special City Council meeting this March 30th, 2020. Order with roll call, please.
Farrell,
Here,
Gale,
Here.
Jenkins,
Here.
Johnson, Matt,
Here.
Whitty,
Here.
Wright,
Here.
Zerlini.
Right.
Johnson is here. She was,
What?
Johnson is here. She was muted.
All right. Is everyone okay with, given the circumstances, to forego the Pledge of Allegiance?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go right to first thing we're going to do is we're going to approve the use of the consent agenda. So I need a motion and a second to go through the consent agenda.
This is Charlie. I make motion.
I'll second it.
First one. Remember, you gotta tell me who you are.
Charlie. I make the motion.
Gale. Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, we'll go straight to roll call, please.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay. All right.
Gale,
Yes.
Jenkins, Jenkins,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Whitty,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Zerlini. Okay, sorry. Farrell,
Yes,
Okay, we'll now seek approval for the consent agenda, which consists of approval of minutes of City Council meeting of March 9th, 2020, and emergency meeting of March 23rd, 2020, and also the approval of bills for February 2020. Is there any discussion on those? We'll take that. I need a motion and a second again, please.
Luann, on your agenda, you have 321. Is it 321?
yeah, it's last Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
This is Charlie. I make a motion.
Okay, need a second?
George, second.
All right, then we will have roll call on the motion, please.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Whitty,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes,
Gale.
Yes.
We'll go to committee reports, streets and alleys. Anything for streets and alleys? There's nothing from street and alley except that we all plan on meeting April 6th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Finance? Mr. Jenkins?
Yes, I'm here. We
Okay.
meet, I think it's April the 20th at 7 p.m.
Okay. George, ordinance? George, do we have anything for ordinance other than the fact that the meeting April 6th, 2020 at 7 p.m.?
Can't hear you.
there is a proposal for later in the meeting. If I did not receive a copy of it from John Long, but we're proposing an ordinance that gives the mayor significant leeway during the period that we cannot meet on a regular basis.
Okay, that is, the ordinance is an ordinance related to the emergency created by the impact of the COVID-19 virus. Did
Correct.
you all get a copy of that?
Did not get a copy of the latest copy.
Okay,
Here,
this
I've
is,
got it here. I can send it to whoever wants it.
but there's 7 pages on it.
Send it to me and I
John?
can put it on the screen.
Yeah, I will. Now, I may, by doing this, I may manage to disconnect myself, but I'll just connect back up if that happens. So I will send it to you. Let's see here.
All right, we'll get that out to you, and then we'll move on, and we'll catch that later under, I think that's with the your new business. Yeah, we still have that. We have a list under new business, so we can come back to that one, George. So, okay, well, next we'll go to water and sewer, and Jessica's probably out having a baby about now. So, pardon? Okay, so water and sewer, their meeting is April 20th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Cemetery.
I don't have anything for this evening other than, is Jody on here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Cemetery really needs mowed. I did message him this morning because it's bad, and there's some plywood and some ruts out there from previous funerals. Other than that, we meet April 6th at 7 p.m.
Okay. Jody was out ill today, so I'll get in touch with him tomorrow and tell him.
Okay, I messaged him so that he knew, but I wasn't real sure if he was, on this meeting or not.
He's not. Okay, health and safety. Anyone want to speak from, other than the fact that they're meeting April 20th at 7 p.m.? Anyone have anything from the health and safety committee?
No. That's it.
Okay. Public property, Mr. Whitty.
Don't have anything, but we meet April 6th at 7 p.m.
Sir. Personnel, Rick.
Don't have anything, but I am going to try to get a hold of John. I'll send you an email, John. Our
Okay.
ASME contract has to be renewed, and I'm not sure that we're going to be available to do any negotiations for that before it comes due.
Rick, one of the provisions in this proposed ordinance is giving the mayor the power to do that.
Okay.
We'll have to look at that carefully. That's what I remember. So,
Okay.
George, I just sent that to you. I don't know if you've seen that come in yet or not.
You're muted, George. George, you're muted. We're not hearing you.
Does anybody else want
I
to
have
get a
too
copy
many.
of this?
I have too many windows open, so I am unmuted now, and I do have the document. I'm going to open it up and share it. You should all see that.
Yeah, that document it's 7 pages long.
Right. I can slowly scroll through it. For this next whereas is where the governor issues an executive order. And therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lebanon And section 1 is there are recitals incorporated herein as the findings of the city council. So the section 2 talks about city council meetings. Any regular or special meetings in the city council may be conducted at the call of the mayor or 6 council members via electronic means, including audio or video conference. Such meetings may be held providing such notice to the public is reasonable under circumstances. I'm not reading every word, just giving you the gist. And then during this period, the procedural rules of the city council are hereby modified to require an affirmative vote of the majority of a quorum present, electronically or physically, at the meeting for the passage of any council bill or to provide policy direction. Meetings of boards and commissions, the mayor may cancel meetings of any board or commission to which the mayor appoints members. Any such cancellation shall automatically extend such deadlines for required actions by such board or commission as is specified in the cancellation. Licensed or permitted activities, the mayor may suspend licenses or permits for special events issued by the city in which the judgment of the mayor would impact the public health or well-being of residents or visitors to the community. Purchases, the mayor or his designee may authorize any purchase for which funds are reasonably related to the emergency. Personnel policies, the mayor or his designee is hereby authorized to adjust any personnel policies related to leave time, other benefits or terms and conditions of employment as are reasonably related to providing sufficient staffing during the term of the emergency. Bargaining units, the mayor or his designee is hereby authorized to enter into such temporary agreements, including memoranda of understanding within the city's bargaining units in order to promote the provision of city services and health and safety by public and employees during the emergency. Section 8, city facilities, the mayor or his designee is hereby authorized to close city facilities as reasonably required to protect the health of the public and employees of the city. Ordinance violations, the city attorney is hereby authorized to extend any time frame for payment or filing related to city ordinance violations in recognition of the emergency. Amounts due and owing, the mayor or his designee, upon the recommendation of the Finance Committee Chairman, is hereby authorized to extend deadlines for payment related to any amounts due and owing to the city. Then other emergency powers, and then the following orders which shall have the force of law can be issued by the mayor. Order city employees or agents on behalf of the city to take possession of any real or personal property of any person or to acquire full title or much lesser interest as may be necessary to deal with a disaster or emergency, and to take possession of and for a limited time occupying, use any real estate to accomplish alleviation of the disaster or the effects thereof. In the event of any real or personal property is utilized by the city shall be liable to cover the owner thereof for reasonable value of the use for that just compensation or as the case may be. Order restrictions on ingress or egress to parts of the city to limit occupancy of any premises, to make provisions for the availability and use of temporary emergency housing, temporarily suspend, limit, cancel, convene, reschedule, postpone, continue, or relocate all meetings of the city council and any city committee, commission, board, authority on other city body as deemed appropriate by the mayor, require closing of business establishments, temporarily close any and all streets, alleys, sidewalks, bike paths, public parts, or public ways, temporarily suspend or modify for not more than 60 days any regulation or ordinance of the city, including but not limited to those regarding health, safety, and zoning. The period may be extended upon approval of the city council. Suspend or limit the use of water resources or other infrastructure. Control, restrict, allocate, or regulate the use of sale of production or production of food, water, fuel, clothing, and other commodities, materials, goods, services, and resources. Allow, suspend, or limit burning of any items or property within the city limits. Then there's information about evacuation, application of local and state federal assistance, etc. I'm reading this because not everybody can see it. It's on the phone. let's see, accept services, grants, loans, equipment used for disaster relief, require continuation, termination, disconnection, suspension of natural gas, electric power, water, sewer communication, or other public utilities or infrastructure, close or cancel the use of any municipally owned or operated building or other public facility, declare, issue, enforce, modify, and terminate orders for quarantine and isolation of persons or animals posing a threat to the public, not conflicting with the directions of the Illinois Department of Public Health, State Emergency Agency, or Governor of the State of Illinois. Exercise such powers and functions in the light of the exigencies of emergency disaster, including waiving compliance with time-consuming procedures, formalities, formalities, including notices that may be prescribed by law, issue any and all such orders and undertake such functions and activities of the mayor reasonably absence or incapacity. In the absence of the mayor may delegate such powers as the emergency interim successor who may take such actions as provided herein. Declaring a state of emergency, the mayor shall not exercise the extraordinary powers and authority conferred by this ordinance until he has signed under oath a statement that the standards set by this ordinance for determining the existence of a state of emergency have been met. It shall be sufficient finding of fact by the mayor for a determination that a state of emergency exists, and the gubernatorial disaster declaration made on March 9, 2020 concerning the effects of the COVID-19 virus remains in effect. The form for the mayor's use in making such finding of fact declaring state of emergency exists as set forth in Exhibit A attached, and the mayor shall file his notarized finding of fact. Declaration of the existence of the state of emergency within the city clerk as soon as practicable. And then section 11(1-6) of the Illinois Municipal Code provides that, quote, a state of emergency declared as provided in this section shall expire not later than the adjournment of the first regular meeting of the corporate authorities under the state of emergency as declared. Because the gubernatorial disaster declaration may remain in effect for an extended period of time, it will likely become necessary for the mayor to make successive findings of fact and declarations of emergency immediately after the adjournment of each regular meeting of the corporate authorities in order to renew the extraordinary powers and authority conferred upon him by this ordinance, though through the adjournment of the next regular meeting of the corporate authorities. Effective date, it's effective upon passage and approval, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately. Then there's the passage language. Sorry for the long read, but I wanted to make sure that those without the screen could see or at least have a gist of what's there.
If everyone will refer to the new business section under the meeting agenda, what we'll have now, if there's any questions or such, other than that, we need a motion and a second to approve the ordinance related to the emergency created by the impact of COVID-19 virus.
I'll move the ordinance.
I'll second.
Is that Rick?
Who was that?
George. And
George and
John.
Sorry. All right, is there any questions? If none, we'll go to roll call on this, please.
Can we get that mailed sent to us also by email?
I'll forward
Yeah,
it right
I
now.
sent it out. I'm not understanding why people aren't getting what I'm sending to them, so.
I'm going to
I
forward it
got
to you right now.
people getting, I sent 2 things and they get one of them. I don't know.
Okay, roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Wright, Whitty.
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Gale,
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Anything else, George?
Nothing else.
Okay. We shall now move to the clerk.
I really don't have anything prepared, but the ladies, we've been talking, and it's time for the council to come up with a plan to put plexiglass or glass or something across the front of this counter area. We feel very naked.
Yeah, it's a matter of safety, not only from the COVID-19, but it's also a matter of protection with regards to unruly folks who might come in and cause a scene, and that offers protection to the employees behind the counter. I would suggest at this time that if it's okay, I think where we need to start is to get a cost estimate on what it would take and then present it back. Unless,
I also would like some input on what people think it should look like.
sure.
Yeah.
Any council members have some experience with other places and they feel have an idea of what they think, pass that on to us if you would please, and then we'll go out and we'll get some cost estimates, set that up. Just for the sake, you would go all the way from one wall to the other wall, from the front wall all the way back to where the wall connects up with the countertop to cover that entire area, thus protecting.
So we have two slots on, or a slot on each side. I think the thing is, I think we're one of the only city halls that do not have something up to protect their employees.
So, all right. So please, anyone has an idea of what they know to be a good and effective method to put that up, let us know, and then what we'll do, administration will go out and see what it would cost to have it done. I can't imagine it being terribly expensive, but I think it's a need. I think we all think in here that it's a needed addition to the safety and protection for the.
Rich, I can send you something for what we did in the health centers, because that's pretty much what we did in all of our reception areas.
That would be perfect. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Anything else, Cliff?
Thank you. No.
Paul, are you online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. It's your call now. You're up.
And Luann, I want to go back to that. Is that the protective measures I talked to you about a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in that bid, you need to look at the bottom below the countertop also, because that's basically hollow besides the piece of wood that's there. So on the budget, the only thing that after speaking to a few council members on an individual basis today and on Friday, the only thing that I need to recalculate, which per budget is actually a little bit too high, is the unemployment calculation. I think it's like 12,706, and that's it. It caps out there. And then a separate section under admin that's strictly designed for the building safety director. So basically, we would just have another section somewhere in Luann's budget that would say building and safety director, and it'll be broken down by pay, benefits, cell phone, gas and oil, and office supplies and postage. Right now, that's built into her budget, which I can separate that out. But as of now, and I see John still on, he's on mute, but the biggest thing is that we really need to look at is to get this approved, it's a balanced budget. To get it approved and amend it with those changes or any new changes that may come about, that won't be a dollar amount. That won't be a dollar amount difference. It's basically going to be a wash figure, just moving the figures over.
Excuse me, Paul, could you speak up? We're having a hard time hearing you.
Anybody else? 'Cause I've
Yeah,
got
speak louder.
so that's basically it. I mean, just the numbers will not change. They will probably go down a little bit based upon the unemployment calculation.
Okay. So you feel like you're feeling strongly everything is in order, and that you at our next meeting, and you'll be able to take this up for a vote, correct?
Yeah, I feel like I told the other 3 or 4 today and Friday, I feel confident that unless there's just a transition of a digit, a number, I feel very confident about the numbers. Obviously, the revenues are an estimate. If the spending remains the same, which now, hopefully we're out of this by early summer for people in town. We need more people in town, but I think the numbers look good, and I'll have it ready. The big thing is tonight, I think I'm going to need a vote from you guys, because it is on the agenda, to make it approval to go in the paper for a public notice. And then I'm going to have to post it on the window. It seems like I don't think we're going to be going into City Hall with a paper copy. I mean, I can have one there, but I don't think anybody's going to go in.
No. We'll post it on the window.
Yep.
So we need a motion and a second for the approval of the fiscal year 2021 budget and the public notice then to be advertised in the Lebanon advertised. We're going to need that. So
This is Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Yeah, this is Jenkins. I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
George
Second?
will second.
I'll second it, Gail.
Okay. All right. Any questions for the treasurer? Any comments? If not,
No, sir.
we'll have roll call, please, on the budget.
Okay, Mac,
Yes.
Whitty. Whitty,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Gale,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you. Anything else, Paul?
I don't have anything unless somebody else has a question or needs information.
All right. Okay, then
So Paul, you're putting the notice in the paper. You've got it already, or?
Notice is in the paper, and as you know, David replied back and said he confirmed that it's going to be in this Wednesday's paper. And I'm going to reformat so each individual department's budget is on one, maybe 11 by 14 or 11 by 17 sheet of paper.
Gotcha.
And we'll get that in the window. That way we won't have, 20 pages, maybe just 10.
okay. Good job. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my turn. Number one, we have on here, I need a vote on the MCC. I hope that everyone has received that MCC recodification cost estimate for Chapter 36 in the Code of Ordinances. And if we wanted to have that recodified, we need to move forward on that, and that would not take place until there wouldn't need to be any payment until next year's budget. So, but the estimate is right at $5,000. I see on the minutes that or the agenda that there's zero missing in there, but that it is $5,000 that has, and we did place that into the fiscal 2021 budget. So if everyone is,
Did you guys receive that email?
Johnson did not receive that email.
Pharaoh did not receive that email.
I did not get it either, Luann, Rick.
Okay, thank you.
Jenkins.
I gotta look
Jenkins
into
did
this
get it.
stuff, because I sent all this stuff out to people.
well, since you want us to resend and we'll put this on the next agenda.
That'll be fine with me.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it,
fine.
is this in the budget that Paul just did?
Yeah, I just remember I said that. I said it's $5,000 been placed into the fiscal 2021 year budget.
I just didn't hear Paul say that he had added it, that's all.
Yeah, so it's in admin, and it's also, utility tax has some miscellaneous in there that allocates for issues like that or sidewalks. We got a lot of miscellaneous expenses.
So you want us to wait? Why don't we just do this? Why don't I just make a declaration? We'll put this on the next agenda. This is not what you call an emergency issue. If you guys go along with it, then it doesn't make much difference to wait 2 weeks to get the okay. So it's not like it's critical right now. So let's move on. Number 2, approve or disapprove an offer from an individual to purchase the lot at 108 West St. Louis Street and donate it to the city. This has been, we've had an individual that has approached the city through Terry Chris and said that he would like to buy that lot and give it to the city. And so, and I've been doing some negotiations with the owner, and we've come up with a price that the donator is willing to pay. So rather than make any commitment on that, we're kind of in limbo right now until you guys either approve or disapprove whether or not you want to accept that gift.
Yeah, Rich, this is Charlie. Could you explain about what they were going to use it for, or what the plans were?
The donator was not specific on what they wanted to do with it, but it was hoped that it would be an extension of the park, the Uptown Park at the square, and that what they had discussed in the process of all this discussion was a memorial of some kind to not only our military, but to our police and all those first responders. Use that area of the square for some kind of memorial or recognition of first responders, military.
Yeah, this is Charlie again. The only reason I ask is because you and I had communicated by email about that lot, and I kind of thrown out there that I think the lot is 24 by 132, and I don't know if we're still looking for more parking or not, but you could actually have angled parking from northwest to southeast in there, with an entrance off St. Louis Street and an exit through the alley for additional spaces down through there.
That would all, if that was a call to be made down the road, we could not do anything until we get a permit from IDOT to put an entranceway off of West St. Louis Street that close to the intersection. I have no clue as to whether or not they would approve that or not. But that could be a problem.
I would agree, Rich. That's awful close to that intersection. I don't think IDOT's going to let you do that.
Well, they haven't been free to let us use any parking on the street any closer than we already have it. And we were able to get one extra in front of the chiropractor's office. That's as far as they were willing to go with any kind of parking. So I don't have an answer for you. I mean, I could if we actually do end up getting that property, I'd ask the question then, and then because just because we have the property, that means we're going to make a decision tonight on whether or not what we're going to do with it. So tonight the question is, are we okay with the donator giving us that property?
This is Charlie again. I just threw out there about the parking. I mean, it doesn't have to be that, but that's just an alternative.
Okay, so the question I posed to council at this point is the approval or disapproval of acceptance of an offer of an individual that would want to donate the property to the city.
I will make a motion that the city accept the donation of that property once the person who wants to donate it owns it, and we'll discuss any future use of that land once it's donated.
Okay.
I'll second that. It's Rick.
All right. Uh, any more discussion, any more points of view here that we need to listen to? All right.
No, sir.
Okay, then we shall have roll call, please. And the roll call would be to accept the donation of the property at 108 West St. Louis Street. Roll call,
Did you
please.
just change the motion?
No, I just said to accept. What,
Well, George made a motion to accept, and he said it in a certain way. So I don't know if I'm supposed to incorporate your part into that motion or just do it.
I wrote down what George said, accept the donation.
Of the property once the person owns it, and then we'll discuss what to do. That's what this is.
Well, what we're doing now is just accepting the donation. We'll have future discussion about what to do with it.
That was part of the motion, to accept the donation and discuss the use once the land is donated.
Okay, I think she has it now.
Well, it gets kind of confusing when I'm trying to make these notes up later when everybody keeps on adding things to the motion.
Okay, you have it now?
It's kind of hard. Okay, who seconded that?
Oh, great.
Dale,
Thank you. Okay,
All right, we will have roll call, please.
Whitty,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Gale,
yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mack.
Yes. All right, then I'll start making those phone calls tomorrow to try to get that all lined up and moving forward. All right. Department heads. Chief, are you on the line?
I am, sir.
Do you want to give them an update of what's going on with the PD and the enforcement of the COVID-19 rules and such? An update on that?
Well, I won't be specific. This would be more for the paper than anything else. In the current situation we find ourselves in, with the orders coming down from the governor, businesses that are not essential have to be closed. I just want to forewarn any businesses that would want to push the envelope. They are putting themselves in harm's way. Not only their business license, but they could take a hit from the Department of Commerce, and even go out to the state's attorney's office. So I understand everybody's hurting. I understand people are losing money. I get it. Unfortunately, we all have to abide by the same rules. So I just want to throw that out there.
Very good. And this has been backed up with multiple conference calls with the state's attorney, and they've mentioned that if enforcement is needed, that the cities and the police departments have the authority to issue citations.
That is the last resort, straight from the governor's office and from the director of Illinois State Police. They are really pushing for voluntary compliance. That is what I hope we get, what we are getting, I believe. I think there may be some businesses that may be trying to push the envelope. Just a forewarning, they're putting us in harm's way, forcing us to do something we don't necessarily want to do if they remain or if they open before this is lifted. I don't know, but I anticipate this to go far longer than April 7th. I do foresee an extension. I would look for that to come out probably this week. It wouldn't surprise me.
All right. Anything else that you need to pass on?
The only other thing would be, I would assume, in anticipating that this is going to go on longer than April 7th, I would assume, Mayor, that we will continue doing these remote council meetings.
Yes, that is correct. I think What I thought is that we're going to run the meetings in April the same way that we're running this meeting. But they won't be emergency meetings, so we'll follow the due process that needs to be done for just a regular scheduled meeting. Got it?
Okay.
Chief, can I ask you a question about, I saw an update about kids playing like in McAllister Park, and your guys have to break them up. Are you getting resistance to that? Or
Well,
kind of listening?
seen a lot of received a lot of phone calls and notifications of the kids playing down there. The park is closed. I took the step. I already contacted Horner Park and let them know that we went down Sunday. And it's a shame to have to do this. These kids are minding their own business, playing basketball, having fun. But unfortunately, they can't be doing that during this time. So it was a difficult decision to make, but we took down the basketball hoops. And I have them safe and sound at the police department. They would be put up immediately once this is lifted.
Just to note that in our conference calls with the mayors in the county, there are other cities that have been forced to do this similar thing where they've taken down the basketball goals and taking down nets at tennis courts and stuff like that. So we aren't alone in this whole issue. So it's a matter of what we have to do.
This the situation we find ourselves in, it's when I say it's changing daily, it is truly changing daily. So we're just kind of rolling with the punches right now and just following the direction from the governor's office and the director of Illinois State Police.
Chief, could I ask you, and then when Penny and Luann, when you all get a chance to, how are your personnel doing? I mean, how are all of the patrol guys doing themselves? How are they handling this? Anybody having issues?
They're taking it serious, I can tell you that. I do want to thank the public. There's been several people from the public that has made us mask and brought them up to the police department. We did recently get some the 95 mask. So they're handling it. We're a little shorthanded right now, but they are taking it serious, and I'm forwarding all the information as I get it through the conference calls and all the emails and everything else to them. So they are being briefed daily, just as I am.
Yeah, the personnel in city halls taking it very seriously because we, the other two ladies have people in their family that could be high risk, and they don't want to take any chances with them. So we are not working at the same time 95% of the time. Today, Michelle and I were in here, but we sit so far apart that we were only here for an hour at the same time, and I was finishing up and she was starting. So we do take it serious.
Okay, if nothing else, we'll move to streets.
Oh, and by the way, Michelle now lives in town.
Okay. Streets, is Jody on the line? All right. The only thing I can say about the streets is that we're getting culvert into this week. The culvert will be into the grocery store, and also looking at having the street between the grocery store and the Mexican restaurant will be in there and ready to go. The grocery store is hoping that they can be open. I think they talked about April 15th. At first they were going to say April 1st, but obviously that didn't work. So now the next opening date is soft opening on April 15th, not April 15th. So let's hope for the best there. Okay, Dale, are you on the line?
Yes, sir, I am.
You got anything that you want to add?
I just tag on to Luann there. I'm taking it pretty serious too, and we're taking the occupancy inspections, especially on a case-by-case basis. One of the things we started is that I put together a questionnaire that if anybody calls in, if they answer yes to one of the questions, then the occupancy won't be done. If it is an emergency type of situation, then I will make the decision on whether it gets done or not.
All right. Michelle, I don't think Michelle's on the line.
Nope.
All right, if there's nothing else from the department heads, I'm going to move to the audience section. We have one thing was submitted by a member of the community, and it's remarked that a dead tree that is reported on city property needs to be removed at the corner of East McAllister and Herman. Certainly I'll have Jody take a look at that and see if that needs to be put on our takedown list. So, take that, Jody. The second remark was that two properties on McAllister, which be at the intersection of Herman Street, are being used as storage. Johnson and Sons Construction, and then there's a business next door with antique trucks and such. We reviewed that some time ago, and both those businesses are in the C1 commercial district, and as such, they are operating within the ordinances with their businesses. So, not much else we can say about that, other than the fact that we don't see any violation of any ordinance because of that C1 district in that area. Okay, unfinished business, update of the council's organization of a committee to make recommendations concerning chapter 36, the code of ordinances. We've already had a discussion on that. I think we're all together, unless I hear differently on what we're going to do next with that. Update on the letter to McKinley concerning no parking on cemetery property. I have to ask your forgiveness on that because I have not today given them the letter regarding no parking on cemetery property. But I'll put a double check mark by that and try to get that out this week. Number 3, update on requalifying for their grants sidewalks southeast section. Given what has transpired with the COVID-19, we today have not done anything of requalifying because that actually requires us to go house to house to get information. And now is not the time that we want to do that. Yeah, that might be a while. So the bottom line is, I don't, and we can check. Jennifer, you may know. Do you think that there's going to be any extension for our opportunities to qualify that and still get in some requests for grants this year, or you think that's just something we're just going to have to skip this year and try to get it for next year? Jennifer, did you catch that?
Yes, I got that. I'm not really sure. I can check with Chris Anderson, the coordinator of that. I know, their current grants end in September. So depending on how long that requalifying process would take you, it may be too short of a time period to get it in for this year. But I will make a note and talk to Chris Anderson about that tomorrow.
Okay. And I guess just go back to you, Rick, an update on the health, dental, and vision insurance.
Yeah, I talked to Michelle Thursday. She was still waiting on Jody's input. She had everybody else's, but we needed to hear from Jody's crew as to whether they wanted the dental and the vision, because we didn't quite have enough applicants at that point in time. She was going to call them, and I just had not heard back from her as to whether she got those or not.
I called Kevin and Elijah, and they're picking up their forms and filling them out tomorrow morning. And I don't know about Sean and Joe.
Okay.
So we'll make contact with Sean and Jody then.
But she needs those by tomorrow.
She has to have them by tomorrow. That's got to be submitted by tomorrow.
Yep.
All right.
For those who do not have the chat turned on. Penny did comment that they can send questionnaires to the houses in that area rather than go to door to door.
Is that a case then if we don't get a response, then the only other way to do like the census where you have to make a door approach? Is that if Penny can she answer that to you, George? Because we can't hear Penny.
You can't hear who?
We can't hear Penny.
No, Penny did not say that. She wrote that in a chat. If you click on the chat button, the chat box will show up.
What I'll do then is I'll make contact with. I'll also make contact with Penny directly. All right, very good. Got it. Okay, takes care of unfinished business. We'll. You already on the new business. We already took care of that. So, any other new business? If not,
Rich, I did have one question. On the regular meeting, I know Jessica had talked with somebody about having to have available access for all residents to be able to participate. To me, that just sounds crazy. Why we would have to have 4,000 people to be able to join this conference. The most we have is like 27 or 28. Is that something we need to check on?
We need to check on that. I think that is something to be checked on. I doubt that any city that is running this right now is going with everybody having 100% access all the time to the meeting. This system we have allows for up to 300. And even the law says that if you're having a face-to-face meeting and it's going to exceed and you know it's going to exceed, then you arrange for a big venue. But in Lebanon, we'd only be able to use the football stadium.
Yeah, I don't know who she talked to, Rich, but it was somebody at the Secretary of State's office about the Open Meeting Act. I don't know if we can clarify that or whatnot, but it didn't.
Well, I think to clarify that would be IML. Or John, do you have any thoughts about that, John Long?
Mayor, the governor's a recent executive order issued by the governor temporarily suspends aspects of the Open Meetings Act, and I'd have to go back and read it more in more detail. But my impression is that takes care of this problem. There's just no way in the world the governor suspending. I mean, his suspension wouldn't mean anything if we had to pay enough to be able to bring 4,000 or 5,000 people into the meeting. I mean, that'd just be prohibitively expensive. I just don't think that's
John,
required.
when you read that, his actual order, it says that it only exempts the ability for the aldermen to attend in person, and it allows for video conferencing. That's the only portion of the law that's been exempted. So all the rest of the law, and when you read it, is still in effect.
Well, but the way I would interpret that is that when he allows video conferencing, he is allowing it in a way that a city can actually do, it. You know, to say that we've got to do the impossible renders that suspension utterly meaningless. So that's my take on it.
I would agree with that. I know Jessica raised it as an issue and she was concerned about it. So she's not able to attend tonight. Something dealing with having a child. I don't know what's more important to her, you know, but I just think we ought to at least address it on her behalf as to whether we can do that or not, or whether it's an issue or not.
Well, I see it as not being an issue, and I'm not exactly sure. Well, if I could find out who told her that, I'd like to get their name so I could send them an email and disagree and ask them what they're thinking, because I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
For example, for us to do that, it would cost, we would have to get additional slots opening. We would have to have a T1 line to handle it if everybody came in at the same time. the cost would be several $1,000s a meeting.
Yeah.
Not only that, George, if you had that many people participating, it would make it a lot more difficult to keep things moving forward.
Right. If there are that many people who want to participate, we're giving them every opportunity to contact us in advance by email, by message, etc. And we've never had 300 people at a meeting.
I agree. I'm just raising her issue for her, that's all.
Okay, we'll take that under advisement then, and as of right now, Don, I'm taking your consideration on that as to be the way things are, and if someone has a name that feels otherwise, that has some legal knowledge on that, if they would put that name forward to us, then and Don will give it to you, and then you can have counsel with that individual.
Rich, may I make one final point here before we wrap this up?
Sure.
That's on the ordinance that we adopted. There's a declaration of emergency that you, after the adjournment of this meeting, you should date and sign, because that's what triggers, that's what brings into effect the extraordinary powers that the council has granted to you.
Okay.
Now, this is based on section 11-1-6 of the Illinois Municipal Code. And what it says is that your emergency powers will only last through the adjournment of the next regularly scheduled council meeting. And so what I'm contemplating here is that after each, as long as the gubernatorial disaster declaration remains in effect, that after the adjournment of each regularly scheduled council meeting, you'll need to sign a successive declaration of emergency in order to keep those powers alive and available to you for use on behalf of the citizens of Lebanon.
Okay, so it's repeat, repeat, and repeat.
That's it until, as soon as the governor lifts this, the disaster declaration, then, the city council would have to decide whether it wants to authorize the continuance of those extraordinary powers. But basically, the way this is written is that these emergency powers are granted to you so long as that gubernatorial disaster declaration is in place and you have signed a declaration of emergency for the period in question.
All right, I'll sign it from the clerk this evening before we leave, and we'll put that in place, and then we'll at the next council meeting, if necessary, we'll repeat the process again, and then the next council meeting after that.
And that has to be under oath too, so I think Luann's a notary, so she'll have to notarize that for you.
Yes, we got that.
Okay.
You just have to stay 6 feet apart when you do that.
Yeah, that's, yes.
Hey, Rich, are you seeing the chats that are going on at the bottom of the screen?
No.
Okay, at the very bottom of your screen, if you click group chat, you will see that Penny is talking to you and Bob, whoever Bob is also talking to you.
You'll see a little window pop up, toolbar.
Should say the very bottom of the screen says chat.
I clicked it.
We're all working to, this is Penny. We are all okay working to get everything completed with separate crews. We are social distancing as much as possible. Okay, and then from Penny to everyone, we can send the questionnaire to the houses in the area, which you've already mentioned. Don't have to go door to door. And from Bob to everyone, I agree with George. City Hall barely holds 35. If needed, I can provide 1,000 sets through seats to go to meeting to the city free of charge through my company account. We don't know who Bob is, but we thank Bob for that opportunity. If Bob reveals himself, that's at least the consideration is we have to go that route. And then from Teddy to everyone, go Bob. Okay.
I think Bob is Robert Lee, Bob Lee.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
I got you.
I do have something whenever the conversation ends. I have a question.
Okay, go with question.
Okay. Luann, I believe, is aware of this. And do you know how many of those hero banners we still have to have hung? Anybody?
I do not know.
I do not know.
Okay. We do have someone from the school asking if there's any way that we could do for the seniors, if we could do some banners. And I just didn't know, it'd be a nice gesture since it seems as though their senior year has sort of gone by the wayside here. But I didn't know if we could do something like that. And
Sherry,
yeah.
I emailed the guy you're talking about, and I said that I thought it was a nice idea, and I did feel sorry for the seniors that kind of, getting the shaft.
I can barely understand you, Luann. I'm sorry.
I said I emailed that guy, and I said that I felt bad that the seniors were kind of getting, shafted having a senior year like everybody usually has. And I said, maybe, we have some more to hang. I think there's at least 5, I thought the guy said. And I was telling this guy, maybe we could find some place like on a street going toward the school that we could do them on those ones.
Okay.
And so I'm going to email him again tomorrow, and maybe we can not sit down together, but talk on the phone and come up with something that might be
An option.
an option. Yeah.
Okay, and would Jody know how many of those banners we still have to hang, the hero banners?
I think he might know how many have been ordered, which would be how many we're going to have to, we committed to putting up.
Okay, okay.
We probably have to go to either Mr. Sheffy or Mr. Burns to get the actual answer.
I did not hear that.
Might have to go to Mr. Sheffy or Mr. Burns to get that actual answer to that question.
Oh, all right.
So I'll try to get a hold of them.
Okay, thank you.
Enough.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll seek a motion in a second for adjournment.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay.
All right. I'll
One
just
more.
one more roll call.
Yeah.
Roll call. We're gonna do roll call on this one, so it's official.
Right? Right?
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Gale,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Mack,
Yes.
Whitty. Whitty,
He's already gone.
Gone.
you guys
He's
want these electronic ones, we're gonna have to sign off, I believe, to be legal.
All right, folks. With that, to all a good night and good health.
Good night and good health.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
You have fun? You have what?